Tsogu. Mone Clevenger you hut duasak, de kina hut sati, ye aya hut, yaklanas na hut sati, karas nes ahoots nas hitta aya hut. Our outside song, we are Sulath Ganya, New Path Dancers of Ketchikan, Alaska. Our outside song was written and composed by my dad, Kevin Clevenger, and belongs to Gitlax Acts of Metlakatla, Alaska. The song we entered in on was composed by my uncle, Kevin Callahan, Jr. Our next song is the Eagle song written and composed by my dad, Kevin Clevenger. Hawa Ganukjish Deutschen. Get gena yak dishi you hut do a sock uch ne hutatin on a ut yeti I a hut on a ut yeti that shkan I a hut hut gu hit dach I a hut. This next song we will be singing to you is written and composed by David Nelson III, and it's the Raven Song. Damashki Dishnoon Dipnu Yagoha, Emma Johnson Diwayu, Ganhara Diwal Hoshku, Ketchikan Diwal Zogu. Our next song, Wild Woman, was written and composed by Christine Martin of BC before war and trying to avoid eye contact. Has not worked in one's favor. Who shall be the chosen one? We shall see.
Ravenna got a couple numbers off of that one. Samaget, Sigamanaa, at all at Lext, at a honey step newsum. Luke will Luam go to Gatwin, Luam go to New Alnisisum. Kevin Clevenger DYU, Gunhada Dual Hoshku, Malakala Dual Watgu, Getchus Gan Dual Zogu. At Zixau go to New Alak New Somalia. Oh, hello. My name is Kevin Clevenger. I'm from Matlakala. I'm from the Raven clan. I live in Ketchikan. Before I really start here real quick, I just want to see if we can get a round of applause for my daughter, Monique. She's the one who introduced the group, and she did it in Tlingit Haida and the Tsimshian languages. So. She's 15, and she already told everybody that she wants to be a HUD-kill teacher when she gets older, so that's a pretty cool goal for her. So another proud moment, this next song we're going to do was written by my 7-year-old Inessa. She was running around the house one day just chanting and singing a song in English called saying the big hungry bear is the big black bear is hungry, and all I did was help her change the words into the Tsimshian language and helped her add a drum beat to it. And the cool thing right now is like the adults are going to take a break and we're going to let our kids sing the song. So this is Hungry Bear written by my daughter Inessa.
Good afternoon, Sea Alaska shareholders. It's great to see all of you guys on the chat. We have more than 100 people online right now. My name is Matt Carl. I'm the Senior Director of Corporate Communications for Sea Alaska. I'm originally from Heidelberg. It's great to see some folks from Heidelberg. I recognize a few of the names. Wherever you're joining us from, we're glad that you're here today. Over the course of the next hour, we're going to answer a lot of your questions. So we have some time for Q&A. And we're going to hear from our President and CEO, Anthony Malott, who's going to provide an update on our businesses and answer some of the questions that you guys have. So I encourage you guys, if you're tuning in through my Sea Alaska chat, please answer your questions in there, and our communications team will flag them and we'll be prepared to answer them later on throughout the course of the hour. We're also going to hear from our corporate secretary, Jaylene Kukesh, who is going to give some information on how to vote. Today's a significant day for us. As you guys know, it's the opening of our election season. So all of you guys should have received the annual report and your proxy. And so we're excited to share the annual report with you guys. It's a compilation of the work that we've done over the course of the past year. And it covers more in depth in the direction that we're going as a company. So that's what you can expect over the course of this hour with all of you. With that, I would like to bring in our President and CEO, Anthony Malott, who will join us and provide an update on our businesses. Anthony?
Thank you, Matt. Looking forward to the conversation. Thank you to all the shareholders who are joining us. This is the first of a whole host of events where we will be providing information and answering questions from shareholders. It includes both virtual events like today, but also in-person events. And we will share all those in-person event informations throughout this event and through e-news, through social. So if you haven't seen that full list, please go ahead and look for it, and we may be able to share it again today. And so as we're holding this event, knowing that we're going to have additional events, this is just a high-level overview of the annual report, since it is in shareholder hands today for the first time. We have been providing information to our shareholders over the last year, more specifically around our points of distribution, where we have the chance to talk about how the distribution ties to our financial performance. But the annual report really is the document that provides the full year picture of how we did in 2022. Given the fact that we are already in 2023, I'll be able to walk through 2022, but also give some indication of performance for 2023 as well, making sure we give as full a transparency of how we're doing, not only last year, but today, this year as well. And so I think I'm going to focus, because the annual report is about the financial information, I'm going to go ahead and start with our financial slides. And I believe after that, we're going to head into some specific Q&A. Is that right, Matt?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So let me give the high-level financial overview of the financial report, and then dive into the Q&A. So I'll ask Matt, can we see this chart?
Yep, it's up on screen now, Anthony.
Okay. And so as we've had the chance to express to you, our shareholders, how we were doing in 2022, we tried to highlight the fact that 2022 was a very difficult investment year, stock and bond markets. We expressed the fact that it would be a big difference between 2021 and 2022 because of these investment losses that we faced. But we were also putting out the information that even with the investment income losses, the focus that we have on our businesses is still working, and our business income improved in 2021. But we have to step into some finer financial information to get to that level of detail. And also that finer level of financial information I'll step into allows me to highlight why exactly we faced a significant net income decline in 22 compared to the strong history that we've put forward in the last 5 years. Just highlight the last 5 years have been the greatest net income years in Sea Alaska's history. It came from carbon income, it came from business growth, it came from all of the income sources that Sea Alaska has. I believe it was a real expression of the financial strength that our multiple income sources provide Sea Alaska. But when you have multiple income sources in any given year, one of those income sources, especially those income sources that have high variability from year to year, can affect our net income to large degrees like we faced in 2022. And so I'll just cut to the highlight. When we look at the net income drop, knowing that our business income improved, the drop really is tied to investment markets, our stock and bond markets. And as well in 2022, it was the first year in the last 5 that we have not had carbon income. We do fully expect carbon income to come back in to the fold in 2023. It will be a good long-term source of income for Sea Alaska, but in 2022, we did not have any carbon income. And those 2 factors, which we are calling one-off events for Sea Alaska, is the reason we see this net income decline. If we get into the business results, we look at operating EBITDA because it gives us the clearest picture of how our businesses are performing, and it often is a proxy of cash flow generation. So net income can be clouded by accounting, different accounting measures that don't give the full picture of our business results. We of course look at both the fact that net income for our businesses improved in 22, but also our operating EBITDA, which has been the measure that we've been sharing most frequently with shareholders. And we see for our existing business structure, the Wuch'een structure that includes our seafood companies and our hydrosciences companies that both fall within government services and commercial services, they continue their strong trend of growth in EBITDA, approaching above 30 million in EBITDA for 2022. The focus here, and I'll be able to answer some questions specifically about how this growth is being created, but in large part, it's about growing our businesses by investing in these 2 platforms tied to ocean health that have a lot of industry growth because of the critical nature of the work that is done within sustainable seafood and hydrosciences. And as we get to the Q&A, I believe I'll have the chance to dive in more deeply. But government services had the best year that they have ever had. Our commercial services businesses had the best year that they have ever had. Our geotechnical engineering services, our drilling services, but the foods business, while it did have positive EBITDA in 2022, it did face more difficulty with the economic environment. The food industry specifically had a very difficult time with inflation. So we did see a slight drop in EBITDA from the seafood platform from 21 to 22. But we also made a lot of investments into the seafood platform in 2022 that will reverse this decline for 23. So we believe we are going to get back on track with the EBITDA growth within the foods platform in 2023 and continue the growth of the government service and the commercial service hydrosciences platform as well. We have some really exciting contracts that has us working on the development of more renewable energy, both in the US and Europe. And that platform for growth is just continuing with the world's need to combat climate change and put forward more renewable energy solutions for all of us. Offshore wind is just one of the renewable energy sources that the world needs, but it is the one area that we have specific expertise in. And we believe that the opportunity to continue to invest in this area will continue the growth that we see in our business platform. Revenue is another look at the growth in our businesses. The foods, 2021 and 2022 are the first 2 years that we have the results of the full New England seafood platform. So that's why we see the big jumps in 21 and 22. But overall, you see the trend that our businesses are creating revenue growth. That will continue into 2023 as we continue to invest in partners, businesses, our employees, and produce high quality products on the seafood side and expert professional services on the hydrosciences side. The focus on our businesses is really important to understand here. It is the one income source that Sea Alaska has that is truly in our control. When we think of our other income sources, and I'll just hit on investment income, because in 2021, you see that we had quite a bit of investment income. And in 2022, investment revenue, which investment income is almost ties directly with investment revenue. But in 2022, we did not see investment revenue. That was because of the decline in both the stock markets and the bond markets globally. And we'll have additional information on that. But the picture of our businesses growing both EBITDA, growing income, and growing revenue are all within the annual report, highlighted within the MD&A as well. And we'll continue to answer questions about that platform. But as we look at the reason, going back to the reason why we saw a decline in income in 2022, you have to look first at investment income. And in 2021, we had a fantastic investment year. $34 million in investment earnings came in 2021. We look at 2022, where we faced a market that was in turmoil because of inflation, because of interest rate rises, because of supply chain problems. And you see the fact that we lost $15 million from our investment funds in 2022. And that difference, if you look at the 34 million from 2021 and the minus 15 in 2022, is close to $50 million. So that almost explains the entirety of the income drop, the total net income drop that we faced in 2022. But another large factor was the 1 year absence of carbon income for us. So carbon has been a fantastic platform for us. Carbon income has allowed us to increase the investment funds that we have that are tied to shareholder benefits, like our scholarship fund, our memorial fund, our language fund, the MBY permanent fund. Carbon income has just been a great benefit to increasing shareholder benefits. But the income that we have in the first, from our first two projects was completely paid out through the 2018 to 2021 timeframe. And now we're working on our third carbon project, but because of the long lead time from project planning to payment, we don't expect payment from our third carbon project until 2023. So we face the 1 year absence of carbon income, and that's about close to 22 million is that difference. And again, you take the drop in investment income and you take carbon, and it explains the majority, more than the majority of our net income drop, because we did see increases, offsetting increases from our business income and from 7J natural resource or 7I income between 2021 and 2022. So as we continue to hear from shareholders, why did your net income decline? What is the effect on us as shareholders? We'll continue to dive into this information and find additional ways to explain the fact that these were one-off events. We believe in 2023, as we get back to a more normal investment environment, as we bring on carbon, the financial trends, the strong financial trends that we have been highlighting in the last few years will get back on track and continue. Just want to highlight just how unique 2022 was. These are actually the earnings for Sealaska Investments in total. And you see 2022 is one of the most negative years we faced in over the last 20 years. The only worst year was 2008, which was the Great Financial Crisis. And the Great Financial Crisis was the most negative investment year since the 1930s. And so it was a very significant negative investment environment. Fortunately, the one thing that we trust with our investment portfolios, that over time, we're going to have many more positive years than we're going to have negative years. And we're hoping that this chart highlights this. When you have large investment balances, and I'll highlight that, at the end of 2021, we had the largest investment fund balance in Sealaska's history. We have 372 million in investment funds that are almost solely tied to funding shareholder benefits. So having these large investment funds is a great thing for Sealaska. It provides financial strength, it provides shareholder benefits, but it also does leave us at risk when we face negative stock market returns, negative bond market returns like we did in 2022. It's really tough to forecast these returns. I'll just highlight that as of now in 2023, investment returns have been much stronger than in 2022. But when you're looking at the market, you never know what's going to happen. So it continues to be difficult to forecast. But again, over time, our focus on investments will produce long-term returns on average. And we have investment managers, investment processes that allow us to deal with large negative years, because we know our investment funds are going to provide positive years more often than negative. And so we're trying to express this in our chart. Again, as we go through the election time period, as we get more questions, we'll find additional ways to highlight this information to shareholders. I may ask Dixie, I just want to go ahead and end with the shareholder benefit slide. Because that's, you know, when we think of what does all of this mean to our shareholders, highlighting the fact that dividends increased in 2022, highlighting the fact that our total shareholder benefit spend increased in 2022, again highlights the fact that we believe the net income decline, because it was more focused on one-off events, we can still continue to provide stable shareholder benefits that tie to your priorities. And I'm excited to have the recent survey results. I thank over 5,000 shareholders who engaged with us on that survey results, provided your input. We use that information to build out our shareholder benefit structure, make investments in areas that tie to your priorities. We will continue to do that. And we believe even with the net income decline we faced in 2022, we are on pace to continue to provide stable shareholder benefits that tie to your priority areas. And if we get the opportunity to share that slide, I don't think, oh, this one includes 7J distribution. So because 7J distribution is one of our more volatile income sources, and it's tied to the 7I we get from other investment sources, it does have more volatility. We look at the shareholder benefits that we provide directly: dividends from operations, dividends from the permanent fund, and the direct shareholders benefit spend that we provide: scholarships, donations to Sealaska Heritage Institute, community spend, advocating for our native way of life. And as we move through both continued virtual sessions, we'll continue to highlight that information. And again, create comfort with our shareholder base that the shareholder benefit is a priority for us, and we do try and create stability. So here's another look at total shareholder benefits. This includes both dividends and the direct shareholder benefit spend that I was just highlighting. We've showed this a number of ways in the past. We used to segment all the different shareholder benefit spend, but as you look at 2022, over 30 million in shareholder benefit spend, 20 million of that was dividends. And those are not the 7J distribution. Those are just $20 million from the MVY permanent fund, investment dividends, and operating dividends. And so that's the bulk of the spend. We know our shareholders prioritize dividends. The focus we've had on our businesses and growing our businesses has allowed us to increase our dividends, but it's also allowed us to increase our shareholder benefit spend. I believe 1.2 million in scholarship funding went out last year, $500,000 in language revitalization. A lot of new shareholder development dollars went out. And so all of that adds up to this total benefits chart that we have been highlighting for shareholders. Last year in the annual report, we tried kind of a bubble chart to express these different benefits that we provide. But again, as we go through and are able to build additional frameworks for how to express this information, just excited about the growth in shareholder benefits and dividends that we've been able to create from the total financial strength of Sealaska, even if we face difficulties in individual income sources from year to year. So I will leave it there, and are we going to move to some direct Q&A from the FAQs? Or
yeah, we're going to go. First, I want to thank all the shareholders that are online right now submitting questions. We have a few questions that we had prepared in advance based on feedback that we were getting, and then we're going to take some of the live questions. So we're going to spend about 30 minutes covering some questions, and then you're going to hear from Jaylene, who has a video regarding specific to the elections. I know there was one question with regard to how many seats were open, so I'll just cover that right now. There are 4 seats open. If for those of you guys that have access to My See Alaska, you can learn more about the candidates. There are 4 incumbents that are running and 3 independent candidates, and so you can learn more about them on My See Alaska. I guess the first question that we want to ask Anthony is, shareholders are now seeing the annual report for the first time. What do you want them to take away from it?
Yeah, when I think of the takeaway, especially in the year where there's some difficulty in reading through the financial information with a drop in net income, to me, the highest level takeaway is that See Alaska has financial strength because of its multiple sources of income and cash flow. We don't just rely on investment income. We don't just rely on business income. We don't just rely on 7(9) natural resource income. We don't just rely on carbon income. We have all of those sources that provide See Alaska financial strength. But we know to build on the strength of our income sources, we specifically focus on growing our businesses. We need to do that to create more stability in our net income, as 2022 is not going to be the last year that we face variability in our investment income or our natural resource income. In 2022, a difficult year for many businesses. Again, we grew our operating profits. We grew our confidence in the growth, the continued growth of those profits and income. And it did help offset the large drop in investment income that I highlighted that we faced in 2022. So we strongly believe, we're confident that our focus is in the right place. If we continue to grow our business income, it will add to the financial strength of our multiple income sources. Also, we know, and we tried to highlight it in that last chart, we know and plan for variability in our different income sources, and we look to create stable long-term shareholder benefit programs that align with shareholder priorities. We have strategies to limit how these benefit programs are affected by year-to-year changes in our income. We do this through both a dedication to long-term partners like See Alaska Heritage Institute, who we have funded every year since the early 80s. And we also rely on long-term investment funds that can fund scholarships, elder benefits, memorial benefits, and language revitalization efforts year after year. The many different and growing investment funds we have are not only benefiting the current generation through increasing shareholder benefit spend, but it is set up to benefit all generations of our shareholders yet to come. This focus on both investment fund management and growing businesses offers us the best chance to meet our shareholder priorities of both dividends and investments into our culture, our way of life, our communities, our elders, and our youth. And I'm excited that we continue to have this strategy that has been consistent from year to year, and really look forward to achieving the strategic goals and vision that we have within our businesses and in our shareholder efforts.
We're getting a lot of questions related to ocean health and the direction that we're going. Just if you could summarize what are you most excited about as it pertains to the progress that we've made on our ocean health platform and where we're headed?
Man, yeah. And one, I'll just hit on the consistency of the strategy, right? I think it's unique to have a business line that has a vision like Ocean Health, but it's also unique to our history to just be consistent year after year to that vision and tying our business growth and our business strategies directly to Ocean Health. The vision for Ocean Health ties to our people and our community's vision of the health of their homelands. In my mind, that's how we're trying to structure this. And if we can tie our local vision of healthy homelands with our business focus on global ocean health, we're going to feel good that we are looking to make a difference for the world in combating climate change. I also know and am excited that because there is so much work to do to assure healthy oceans, that the industries we are in, sustainable seafood and hydrosciences, they're growing quickly because there's so much to do. There's so much growth, there's so much investment opportunity in the energy transition. And they both industries offer many opportunities for greater investment and business growth. And throughout 2023, we'll continue to highlight where we're most excited about that growth. We continue our acquisitions. We're continuing to find great new partners to add to both the seafood platform and the hydro platform. The growth platform, specifically within sustainable seafood, had led to exciting new investments in Iceland and Norway. And the thesis that these investments allow is that investing in areas like Alaska, Iceland, and Norway allow us, our seafood platform, to bring the highest quality seafood in the world from the best managed fisheries to consumers, highlight both sustainability, highlight quality, get individuals eating more seafood, which hopefully will allow them to eat less higher impact protein, and also the focus on the best managed fisheries will tie back to the focus on ocean health. The science, the fisheries management in Alaska, Iceland, and Norway are world-class. There's always improvements to be made, but if the resources from our oceans are managed appropriately, the health of our oceans will look to be improved as well. Also within our hydrosciences businesses that focus on the development of renewable energy, specifically offshore wind, we have bought companies in the US and in Europe that will allow us to pursue work on the west and east coast of the US and also throughout Europe. That's the excitement we're seeing in finding new contracts for supporting renewable energy development. And all of these areas have committed to significant growth in investments into offshore wind. When I think of the Wuxin platform, I can't leave this question about excitement without expressing how excited we are, myself, our management team, the board, that we have many extremely talented managers, executives, and employees within our Wuxin businesses who are committed to our values. They truly care about ocean health, and they are motivated by the fact that their success will lead to our shareholder and community success. Every quarter, it seems, we have new, highly experienced partners and employees joining us, all looking to continue the success our businesses have built to date. I want to highlight specifically the work of our Sea Alaska officers, Terry Downs, our Chief Operating Officer, Carrie Roram, our Chief Financial Officer, and Kent Rasmussen, our General Counsel, who all guide the work of Wuxin with great experience and a true dedication to following our values, their values, global values.
Great. That's probably a transition to the next question that we're getting. We hear about this every year. It's in regards to officer compensation. Several questions in the chat related to that. If you could just summarize for the benefit of our shareholders, how do we arrive? I think there's a lot of attention on the proxy, and that rightfully so. But just share a little bit more information on how officer compensation is determined.
Yeah, thank you. So we work closely with the board to define incentive programs that lead to business success. And that truly is the key. You know, we're not going to pay bonuses if we're not going to pay incentives if the business results are not commensurate with that. So incentive compensation only is paid out when our businesses create growth and profits for Sealaska. We paid out incentive compensation in 2022. And even after that extra incentive expense, our businesses grew their profits and their cash flow generation. So they are covering their own incentives with their growth. This allows us to consistently fund shareholder benefits. We went through many years with no incentives. And until we started creating the significant growth in both income and shareholder benefits that we've seen in recent years, that's what's triggered the incentives we've seen over the last few years. Incentives will continue to be tied to greater success from our businesses, but they will not be paid if we are unable to achieve business growth. And so we work with our compensation committee, we work with our board, and we work with the audit committee, we work with our auditors, all to prove that the incentives are paid when business growth is achieved.
On the following up on what you shared with the direction that we're going with Ocean Health, some questions specific to how this will directly benefit shareholders, not just in terms of the business success and that will lead to dividends, but more specifically to potential job creation. So if a shareholder who's based in the region, they're seeing the direction that we're going with Ocean Health and our investment in some of these businesses overseas, what can you tell shareholders as it relates to the potential of job creation for our communities and our shareholders?
Yeah, thank you for that question. For decades, scholarships, educational programs, youth programs, career development have been top priorities for our shareholders. Our two longest standing programs are our scholarship program. Again, we fund close to 500 students who are investing in themselves to go to college or voc tech careers. That's just such a great number of shareholders who we hope and we do connect with often to express the opportunities we have within our businesses. We've hired former interns and shareholders into I believe almost every business that we have. We've had shareholders working full-time in the environmental field in New Mexico, in California. We have interns in our seafood platform in the UK this year. And again, I think you're right. It's the fact that as we highlight the fact that STEM, engineering, science-based careers offer great career opportunities, and then we continue to highlight those opportunities within our businesses, we'll have an ever-growing number of both interns and professionals that we have the opportunity to work with. And even better yet, whether they work with Sealaska or not, we're dedicated to their career success. And internally, we're growing the number of programs that we have to support our shareholders, whether they choose a field of interest that ties to a Sealaska career, or they choose a field of interest that ties to any career. We are looking to create the success side by side our shareholders in whatever career they choose. And so more to come. We've highlighted our development efforts from the work of Tesla Cox, Kayla Roberts. There's an opportunities page within My Sealaska that has ever updating information on the new opportunities and job openings within our platform. But yes, long-term, it is a big piece of the strategy we have for the growth of our businesses and the growth of the career success of our shareholders.
More specific, this next question comes from Brad Fletch. Thanks, Brad, for tuning in today. His question is specific to the permanent fund. He's noticing that it went up roughly $16 million or $26 million. He's wondering about the contribution to the permanent fund. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes. So carbon income comes from a long-term commitment to maintaining healthy forests and a constant carbon stock, but we get paid the cash and the income in the early years of our program. So we've received $140 million from our carbon programs over the last 5 years. 25 million of that was invested into the permanent fund in 2022. The board approved that earlier in the year, and that's the main reason why we saw the MVY permanent fund balance increase even in a difficult investment year. But I will highlight that, yes, the bulk of the investment income we face is dictated by the stock market and the bond markets and other markets throughout the world. But we have a dedicated process with our finance committee to find the best investment managers we can. And the Marjorie V. Young Permanent Fund only declined 6% last year, when the average investment fund, almost definitely domestically, but almost throughout the world, was down about 16%. So our investment fund managers performed very well and even limited the investment losses we faced in 2022.
We have a few questions from Vicky Mata. Thank you, Vicky. We'll try to summarize a few of them. Some of them have been answered in the course of Anthony's presentation, so I'm trying to be mindful of that. The question that I think is related to what we talked about earlier with Ocean Health is more specific to job creation. Can you talk about the work that Sea Alaska is doing to create jobs in our region and in our communities? You mentioned the work that Tesla is doing, but just share a little bit more. Her question was specific about creating jobs in the villages as it relates to the direction that we're going with the Ocean Health and business platform.
Yeah, in terms of the direct, we continue to look for opportunities to invest specifically in Alaska. We have invested in other countries recently, but continue to look for Alaska. But the business platform is not the only way that we provide jobs in our region. Our Ha'ani natural resource platform, we partner with our communities. We support tribal work crews in Huna, in Cake, and on POW. These are good work jobs that provide not only income and job opportunities to our shareholders, but work on things that our communities care about, like salmon stream restoration. So our Ha'ani platform has been growing jobs with partners throughout the region. Sea Alaska Heritage has been really working. They've increased their employee base. They're working throughout the region to highlight the opportunity to work with our smaller communities. And the Sustainable Southeast Partnership Network, the Seacoast Trust that Sea Alaska stood up, funds the bulk of the SSP network, along with donations from other partners. And the SSP network has jobs in our communities. Spruce Root is growing their employment base. And again, when we think of the career development opportunities, we're working very closely with the Klawak Voc Center. We're offering trainings on the island. We're tying those trainings to specific job opportunities. There are jobs out there in our communities, but if your skills don't tie, we want to support you in getting the training to take on the jobs that are there in our communities. So that all combines to an effort that is truly important to us, the sustainability of the economic livelihood within our communities.
Great, thank you, Anthony. That other question from Vicky, unrelated to that, on a different topic. She's asking about the SHI Scholarship Endowment. Her question was whether that was managed by SHI Sea Alaska or an investment firm. So if you could provide a little bit more information on how we manage the endowment for scholarships.
Yes, so the scholarship endowment, which is close to 25 million at the end of 2022, is managed by Sea Alaska. That is included in that 370 million in investment funds that I highlighted at the end of 2021. We manage it internally. We use low cost index funds that get exposure to stocks and bonds. And we also choose private investment managers that offer the opportunity for return, but also look to limit risk. And so those funds also, yes, they did lose income, but not as bad as the market. So I think the scholarship fund specifically was down about 12% in 2022, again, in comparison to your average investment fund being down 16%. So we manage all of the different investment funds here at Sea Alaska. The finance committee has an institutional consultant that we work with on reporting. UBS is that consultant who we work with. We have investment policy statements for all of our funds. And again, we look to professionally manage those to create long-term benefit. And as we manage that, we are able to give the annual spend to Sea Alaska Heritage Institute. So we just gave them the number for 2023. It's over $1.1 million from our scholarship. And then they present that they administer the awards of the scholarship program. So we manage the investments, they administer the award side.
Great. Our next question is from Loretta Williams. And this is a question that we get quite often. It's in regard to trawling. And she's asking what efforts are being done about bycatch trawling, herring and other trawling closures. I think this is related to overall, I think there is a connection to ocean health and impact on climate. So if you could just share from your perspective, the work that we do, some of the advocacy work that we do as it relates to the impact of trawling.
Yep. No, thank you. So I'll just start with the New England platform and whether we have any trawl product. They focus on what's called quality and sustainability at the source. And so they source in Alaska. They've been the longest standing UK seafood supplier of wild Alaska seafood. And their focus is not on trawl fish. Their focus is on salmon and long line whitefish. It's tough to call a product sustainable when you face these bycatch concerns. And so when I go back to the best managed fisheries in the world, Alaska wants to be that best managed fisheries. But if they want to keep that title, they do have to address how bycatch affects our traditional way of life. And so we work with community fisheries entities that provide comments to the fishery management bodies. We look to highlight information that doesn't allow these fishery management bodies to avoid this conversation. We work through lobbying efforts and our advocacy efforts to make sure that bycatch is addressed appropriately. It's not a fight that Sea Alaska takes on its own. Our tribes are very heavily involved in this. I'm very appreciative of the work of Tlingit and Haida in this regard, and we support all their efforts. In terms of herring, we have been supporting the Sitka Tribe of Alaska in a herring litigation against the state of Alaska. We believe that, again, is a fishery that needs to be managed more sustainably with better science and recognition of how important it is to our traditional way of life, not just the commercial aspect of the herring fishery. And so Jaylene Kukesh and the importance of advocacy for things that our communities and our people care about has really been leading the effort for us on supporting the Sitka tribe of Alaska to protect their herring fishery.
Great. We have about 5 more minutes and then we'll roll into Jaylene's video with regard to elections. So really appreciate everybody spending this time with us, and especially those of you guys that are answering their questions. We're trying to get as many as possible. This won't be your only bite at the apple. We're going to be going to 10 community meetings throughout the month of May. So we'll have a chance to answer as many as possible, you know, over the next month or so. Another one from Brad that I think is worth asking, and it's regard to Sea Alaska rolled about 109 million of debt from short-term to long-term. Is it fixed or floating interest rates? So he's more specific about some of the financial data.
So that is floating rate debt. It has it's not tied to prime. We have been managing it with our partners, and we're actively looking to restructure that debt, but it is all floating rate.
Great, thank you. We're close to about 300 people online, so a great turnout for today's update. Another question that I think we've covered in some form, but it's worth just getting a little bit more clarity on. Again, from Brad, how much does Sea Alaska have invested in the North Atlantic fisheries? He's more specifically asking equity plus debt used to buy it. So just interested in how we're pursuing those opportunities over in the UK and the North Atlantic.
Yeah, that's the whole bulk of the long-term debt, is about 100 million that we have invested over there. You know, we are looking for additional investors. It's one of the reasons we went with floating rate debt. We believe that additional investors alongside us can pay down some of that debt and will remove allow us to restructure that debt. And so, but it does tie to the bulk of the investment in the seafood platform.
Great. I'm just rolling through these questions here, trying to figure out which ones we've answered and which ones still remain unanswered. So another question from Vicky Mata is related to elder benefits. She's curious on some of the, just kind of share what we've done as it relates to making sure that there's not an impact on elders when we had the blood quantum removed last year. Some of the steps that the management team and the board takes, specifically the board takes with regard to ensuring that our elders are taken care of.
Yeah, thank you. So the longest standing program we have is our Elders Trust. And so the Elders Trust provides $20 per share as a one-time payment to elders when they turn the age of 65. And the Elders Trust has provided $15 million in payments specifically to elders over its life, and continues to provide close to $700,000 annually in distributions to elders. But as you mentioned, the fact that we went through the shareholder vote to add descendants, at that same time, we wanted to limit any dilution from the addition of new shareholders through the descendant addition by adding a new elder share class. So when you turn 65, not only do you get the one-time payment of $20 per share, you get 100 new elder shares, and those elder shares receive both the operating dividend and the Marjorie V. Young permanent dividend. And so that is, and the elder dividend is an additional dividend on top of any dividend an elder receives from their original shares. And so last year we paid out close to $7 per share. If an elder had their 100 original shares, they also have their 100 elder shares, they got the $700 from their original shares. They also got $700 from their elder shares. So, you know, those are the two main programs that offer additional benefits to elders, and it is tied to dividend programs and additional payments.
Great. I'm going to give you a chance to do some closing thoughts, Anthony, but I just want to do some quick housekeeping items and announcements. Obviously, it is important that we are running in elections right now, so it's important for shareholders to be informed of what opportunities you guys have to hear from the candidates that are running. On Monday, there'll be a candidates forum. There'll be a virtual candidates forum. So you'll get a chance to hear more from the 7 shareholders that are running for the 4 open seats. That information we've shared it on social media, and you guys should have that information available to you guys on how to participate on Monday. Next week as well, we will be in Anchorage on Tuesday, May 9th for a community meeting, and then we'll be in Seattle on the 11th and 12th. So we have 3 community meetings next week in addition to the virtual candidates forum. And so shortly you'll hear from Jaylene as it more specifically relates to how to vote and information related to the elections, but just wanted to share that for those shareholders. And finally, if for shareholders that live and reside in the Los Angeles area, we do have a community meeting here tomorrow. Excited to see those of you guys that are planning to attend. We've had a really good response. And so we're expecting a great turnout tomorrow, and we'll have a chance to answer more questions then. But Anthony, I just wanted to close before we finish with Jaylene's video. Any thoughts as to kind of wrap up the session today?
Oh, just a big sheesh, Hawa, for engaging with us today. This is not the only opportunity. Not only do you have the chance for additional virtual meetings and the in-person meetings, but please contact us through MySea Alaska. We answer a lot of questions through that platform. And so we don't want to miss any common questions from our shareholder base. And so we collect them in FAQ data documents, and we get the answers back out to the shareholders. So all of this engagement just makes sure that our efforts are pointed in the right direction, that our efforts tie to the things that our shareholders care about. And having you here with us today makes us confident that what we're working on matters to our shareholders. So Guna Chish, I will say specific shout out to Yakutat, anybody from Yakutat. I'm there with you. Just want to highlight that for my home community. And share a lot of excitement around the Moana Nui Akea voyage, where our close partners, the Polynesian Voyaging Society, is going to be visiting Southeast Alaska. We've had communication about this, but if this is the first time you've heard about it, I think it's worth learning a bit more. It's very exciting to us. It ties to elevation of Indigenous stewardship. It ties to ocean health. It ties to combating climate change. It ties to our culture and our stories, and it's inspirational. So if any of you online have the chance to go read up on what Moana Nui Akea is, I highly recommend it.
Great, thank you, Anthony. And then finally, before Dixie rolls the video with Jaylene, we do have door prizes for those of you guys that joined us today. Just be on the lookout for on Facebook for the winners. So again, thank you guys so much for the 300 shareholders that joined us today. For those of you that consistently show up and ask questions, we truly appreciate what you guys do, and it makes us better at what we're trying to do, which is really build trust with our shareholder base and make sure that you guys are as informed as possible about the direction that we're going. So thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Dixie.
Hello, shareholders. My name is Jaylene Kukash. I am the Vice President for Policy and Legal Affairs and the Corporate Secretary for Sea Alaska Corporation. My Tlingit names are Kinaguat and Kajuhane. I am Tlinedi, Dog Salmon, and I am Yaith, Raven. I am a child of the Tekwedi, the Bear Clan. I'm from Angoon. I have been serving at Sea Alaska for almost 15 years now, and I'm happy to join you today to give you an update on our current events at Sea Alaska Corporation. So today is a big day for Sea Alaska and our shareholders. Today, your proxy statement and annual report are available. For those of you who are Go Green, your annual report will show up through a link in your email. You can click the link and you can see the annual report, and you can also see the proxy and proxy statement. For all shareholders, you will receive in the mail, postmarked today, your proxy and proxy statement. And with those materials, you can vote your proxy in this year's Sealaska election. If you can't wait for things to come in the mail, again, you can go to mysealaska.com and log into your account, and you can access all of these materials. So your proxy is your ballot for our 2023 election. This year we have 4 seats up for election for the board of directors. We have 4 incumbent candidates who are running again, who have the endorsement of the board of directors. And we also have 3 independent candidates running. You can review your proxy statement for instructions on how to vote. You can vote your paper proxy that you receive in the mail, or you can vote online at mysealaska.com and click onto the election link. The election link will take you to the Independent Inspectors of Elections site to vote your proxy quickly and in a secure way that is confidential. If you vote your paper proxy, you need to return that in the business reply envelope, or you can deliver it directly to the Independent Inspectors of Election or to Sealaska. We have a box at our headquarters, or you can deliver them in person at the community meetings as well. How to vote your proxy. For some of you, this may be your first time voting. We do have many new descendant shareholders that have been enrolled in this past year. Your proxy statement will have all the information you need to understand how to vote, and you will vote on your proxy card, which is with your proxy material. While that proxy statement explains how to vote, in summary, here's a quick rundown. You can either vote directed, which means you would specifically direct your votes to specific candidates on the proxy statement. You can vote for no more than 4 candidates because those are the number of seats available. You can vote for just 1, but any number of candidates, numbering 1 to 4, you can allocate your votes directed. The second option is to vote discretionary. If you select that box, you do not need to allocate your votes specifically to any candidates. You simply need to check the box for discretionary, and our proxy holders who are designated on the proxy card will vote your proxy for you to ensure that the maximum number of endorsed candidates are elected for the board of directors. Your last option is quorum only. In this case, you're simply allowing us to achieve quorum, which means that we have to have 50% plus 1 of all voting shareholders to participate. And so if you select quorum only, you don't need to select any candidates for your votes. You're simply making sure that the election can move forward by achieving quorum. There are no resolutions on the proxy this year. This year, we're only electing directors for 4 board seats, so you need not worry about learning about a resolution or making a selection on the proxy with regards to resolution. If you have any questions about how to vote, you should be able to find the information in your proxy statement, or you should feel free to reach out to Sealaska, to the Corporate Secretary Department. You can also reach out to the Independent Inspector of Elections, which is LG Rayfield, and they're based in Juneau. And their number and contact information is on your proxy and in your proxy statement. Important deadlines. June 2nd is our early bird voting deadline. If you vote by June 2nd, you are eligible for some early bird prizes, including round trip tickets on Alaska Airlines and some great cash prizes. The absolute deadline for the proxy is June 22nd. And by that day, by 5 p.m., the Independent Inspector of Elections must receive your proxy card either online or delivered to them in person by that date. After that, the only option you have is to vote in person on a ballot at the annual meeting on June 24th in Cloaca, Alaska. For all shareholders who vote, you are entitled to a $50 voting incentive. You only receive one, even if you vote multiple times. If you can vote more than once, but only your latest dated proxy will count, and you will be eligible for the $50 voter incentive. And of course, you're also eligible for prizes. Anybody who votes at least by the annual meeting is eligible for the $50 voting incentive and all prizes that are available to those who vote. We also have community meetings coming up starting tomorrow in Los Angeles. We have several community meetings on the schedule. Come and meet other shareholders, meet some of your board of directors, meet some of the staff and management, and learn more about the candidates as well. You can see here we have quite a busy schedule coming up. You have the virtual meeting here today. We also have in-person meetings in Los Angeles, Anchorage, Seattle, Ketchikan, Craig, Hoonah, Haines, Yakutat, and Juneau. And we will also have next Monday on May 8th a candidates forum where you can learn more about our candidates running for election this year, including the 4 incumbent candidates and the 3 independent candidates. So we do hope to see you all there. We will have door prizes, of course, at the event, and refreshments and food, and just look forward to seeing all of you out there. We also have on June 24th, our annual meeting in Klawock, Alaska at Klawock High School. This event will also be live streamed. Any live stream events, you should log into your MySeaLaska account and you'll have access to the candidates forum, the report tomorrow, today, is of course online at MySeaLaska. And the Anchorage meeting, we will also live stream so that those who can't attend any in-person meetings can participate in a community meeting, and then of course the annual meeting. So make sure you're enrolled in myseaalaska.com and log in for these virtual events so you can participate remotely if you can't attend any meetings in person. So that's the information I'm going to give you all today. I just really want to thank you for joining us today, and watch for your proxy or log in for your proxy and proxy statement. Please vote. It's very important that we hear from you and that you vote your proxy. And just join us at any meetings in person or log into MySeaLaska. And thank you for joining us today. And I'll see you all soon. Good afternoon.